This is from Flank Hawk by Terry W. Ervin II. Chapter 1. Guzzy signaled for my attention and pointed over the gully's lip toward the disturbance in the undergrowth. He grinned, showing his yellowing teeth. "It's coming for you." After listening to the rhythmic rustling for a few breaths, I set aside my spear and drew my broad-bladed short sword. The reeking stench of rotting flesh sent flashes of last night's desperate battle through my mind. Screams, blood, and death echoed there. Still smiling, my cousin scrunched up his nose and donned his rusted steel helmet before lifting his heavy frame to peer over the gully's lip. "Give it half a moment, Krish." I leaned against a rotting oak rising from a bend in our sheltering gully and stared at the nameless stream trickling through its bottom. My stomach tightened as the sun's light faded. The last few nights of battle gave me reason to fear the dark. The faint stench reminded me of the putrid odor that's always preceded the zombies. My militia training on livestock corpses wasn't enough. Walking dead, with pus-rotted skin teeming with maggots, clubbing and grasping, were far more frightening. Guzzy nodded while checking his broad-bladed axe. "Some necromancer master ordered them forward again." His face and cheeks looked pressed into his worn helmet. Even if my cousin was heavy, he was anything but fat. Nobody I'd ever seen could hew limbs from bodies like him. I climbed around the rotting oak and pinpointed the rustling in the tangled vines. With a sneer set across my face to mask my disgust, I held my breath and chopped into the animated arm. My first swing cut into the hacked-off remnant from last night's horde. The soft ground absorbed the blow. With aim, my second effort severed the hand at the wrist. Then I pinned the writhing, bloated hand with my boot before shearing away its fingers and thumb. Guzzy laughed. "Masterful sword work, Krish." I kicked away the still wiggling stump and fingers. "Yeah, Guzzy, they're coming again." I surveyed the woods, peering into the mixture of oak, hickory, and maples. They'd driven us back 5 miles in the last 3 days, hardly a fraction of the vast gray-haunt forest depths. Only 1 more mile south, and they'd drive us out completely. "Didn't want that thing tripping me up," I said, before returning to the mud-slick gully's concealment. I looked back behind our skirmish line. Men with flaming torches and boar spears like mine were moving toward our forward position. Their gray quilted armor, like mine and Guzzy's, was far more effective at warding off the chilly spring nights than enemy attacks. 23 men split up and took positions to either side of me and Guzzy. A lot of new, unsure faces were among them. Unlike the shields slung over Guzzy's back, the ones they carried were unmarred. Guzzy said, "Let's wet and salt our blades while we got the chance." I followed him down to the narrow stream. I didn't recognize the 2 men who took up position to our right. "Are Vort and Danard still to our left?" I asked. Guzzy nodded, lifting his blade from the slow-running water. "Danner and Klano fell last night. That leaves only 4 of us from Pine Ridge." I dipped my sword into the stream, being careful not to get water on the hilt. I reached into my nearly empty pouch and sprinkled finely ground salt along the length of my sword's blade. Guzzy dipped my spear tip into the water and held it out for me to salt. My hand shook a little as I spread the white grains. "Thanks," I said, trying to steady myself for battle. "I saw you cut down Harvid last night." Guzzy shoved my spear back into my hands. "That wasn't Harvid," he growled, before crawling back up to the gully's rim. "When we get back to Pine Ridge, don't say anything of it to his ma." Guzzy was only 2 years older, but far more battle-hardened than me. This was my first campaign, my 3rd night of combat. I took a deep breath and looked around. Our lines grew thinner. I wondered if the enemies would again be stronger, reinforced by some of our fallen. If Harvid's corpse had attacked me, I wasn't sure I'd have cut him down like my cousin did. "Guz, this isn't like the skirmishes most talk about. Remember old Lowell's stories about the 3 years his father fought, driving back the great corpse incursion? This sounds more like that." I slid on my helmet and watched the other men.